Have you ever felt the air in your own home turn cold, as if a ghost only you can see is walking through the walls? My ghost had a name, and I was about to find out he also had a key. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel, tell us where you're from, and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. It started subtly, like a hairline crack in a foundation. For 10 years, Sarah and I had built a life in our quiet Chicago suburb. We were the couple everyone envied, the perfect team. But then, the foundation started to groan. Sarah, my vibrant, affectionate wife, became distant. Her laughter, which once filled every room, was replaced by the constant silent glow of her phone screen. She'd angle it away from me, a quick, reflexive gesture that stabbed me with a tiny icicle of doubt each time. "Who are you texting so much, honey?" I'd ask, trying to sound casual. "Just work stuff, Mark." "You know how it is," she'd reply, her voice a little too flat. The icicles started to stack up. There was the new, expensive lingerie she bought, but never wore for me. The sudden girls' nights that left her coming home smelling of a men's cologne I didn't recognize. The way she'd flinch if I touched her unexpectedly. I was living with a stranger, a polite roommate who shared my bed but not my life. The humiliation was a slow burn, a constant low-grade fever that left me feeling weak and foolish. The breaking point, the moment the hairline crack shattered the entire structure, was a mundane Tuesday afternoon. I came home early from work, hoping to surprise her. The house was silent. I found a receipt on the kitchen counter from a fancy downtown restaurant, a place we hadn't been to in years. It was for 2 people, dated the previous Friday, the night she was supposedly at a yoga retreat with her friends. My hands started to shake. I went to our shared computer, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. Her email was open, and there it was. A thread of messages, not with a colleague, but with a man named Alex. The emails were graphic, filled with details of their secret meetings, their passion, their plans. They mocked me. They called me predictable, boring, the ball and chain. Each word was a fresh wound. But the line that truly broke me was from Alex. "Cue in to wait to use my key again? It feels so good walking into his house, knowing you're all mine." His key, my key. Our house. Stumbled back from the desk, gasping for air. A memory surfaced, sharp and painful. About 6 months ago, Sarah had insisted we change the locks. She said she'd lost her keys. She found a great local locksmith online, a friendly, charming guy named Alex. He'd come over, made a joke about how he could get into any house in Chicago, and winked at Sarah. I'd thought nothing of it. Now, the memory was a horror film playing in my mind. He hadn't just changed the locks, he'd given himself a copy. My sanctuary, my home, had been his playground. That night, I confronted her. I held up the receipt, my voice trembling with a rage I didn't know I possessed. "A yoga retreat, Sarah? Was Alex there teaching you some new positions?" The mask of the sweet, loving wife fell away. In its place was a cold, cruel stranger. She didn't deny it. She didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. She smirked. "Oh, you finally figured it out," she said, her voice dripping with condescending pity. "I was wondering how long it would take. You're just so oblivious, Mark." She told me it was over between us. She said she was in love with Alex, that he was everything I wasn't, exciting, passionate, a real man. And she was untouchable, wrapped in the arrogance of her new love. The next day, Alex was there, helping her pack. He stood in my living room, my home, with a smug grin on his face, draping his arm around her. He looked at me like I was something he'd scraped off his shoe. "No hard feelings, buddy," he said, that same disgusting wink. "Just business." I broke. That night, alone in the house that echoed with their laughter and my failure, I shattered. I cried until I had nothing left. But as the sun rose over Lake Michigan, something inside me shifted. The grief and humiliation began to cool, hardening into something else. Something cold, sharp, and patient. I wasn't the predictable, boring husband anymore. They had created a monster, and I was going to show them just how monstrous I could be. My revenge would not be a loud explosion. It would be a quiet, systematic demolition. First, I hired a private investigator. He was expensive, but worth every penny. I needed irrefutable proof, not just for the divorce, but for what was to come. For weeks, I played the part of the heartbroken, defeated husband. I moved into a small apartment, let Sarah have the house for the time being, and communicated only through lawyers. She and Alex thought they had one. They grew careless, flaunting their relationship all over town, all over social media. They had no idea they were being watched. The pie delivered a treasure trove. Photos of them entering and leaving my house at all hours. Audio recordings of them discussing their plans, laughing about how they duped me. And the crown jewel, evidence that Alex's locksmith's business was a sham. He was running a sophisticated operation, making duplicate keys for wealthy clients and selling their schedules and alarm codes to a burglary ring. Sarah wasn't just his lover, she was an accomplice, feeding him information about our friends and neighbors. My lawyer's eyes widened as I laid out the evidence. We had them. We had everything. The plan was set in motion. We filed for divorce, citing adultery and presenting the initial evidence. Sarah, still arrogant, just laughed it off. She thought the worst she'd face was an unfavorable divorce settlement. She had no idea what was coming. Simultaneously, my lawyer anonymously tipped off the Chicago Police Department about Alex's burglary ring, providing them with a mountain of evidence that was impossible to ignore. We also contacted the local news outlets, the ones that love a good scandal about a wealthy suburban couple. The public exposure was perfectly timed. The day of our final divorce hearing, a major news channel broke the story. Local locksmith and lover implicated in high-end burglary ring. Their faces were plastered everywhere. The courtroom was buzzing. Sarah walked in, her face pale, her smug confidence completely gone. Alex was supposed to be there as her witness, but he was a no-show. He'd been arrested an hour earlier. In court, my lawyer played the audio recordings. Sound of Sarah's voice, laughing as she described our neighbor's vacation plans to her lover, filled the silent room. I watched her crumble. The shame, the fear, the realization of her utter ruin washed over her face. Lost everything: the house, her reputation, her friends. The divorce settlement left her with nothing, as her criminal involvement negated any claim she had. Her family disowned her. The last I heard, she was working a minimum wage job, living in a dingy apartment on the other side of the city. Her life, once a picture of suburban perfection, was a pile of ashes. I got the house back. It took a long time to cleanse it of their presence, to make it feel like mine again. Sometimes, late at night, when the old floorboards creak, I think of her. I don't feel anger anymore, or sadness. I feel nothing at all. The house is very quiet now. The end.